Love, Trust, and Syphilis. A Friedrich Nietzsche story. Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another short story discussion, which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one, the short story discussion playlist. Number two, the Ernest Hemingway short story by short story read along. This is a very, very brief story, but there's some stuff worth talking about. This video itself will hold three different sections. Number one, a So What Happened portion, where we talk about what happened in the short story. Number two, a literary criticism section, where we talk about all of the literary goings-on in this short story. And number three, a writer's corner. I have but one note in the writer's corner for this short story, but it is nonetheless, in my opinion, something worth talking about. So, what happened? Well, a woman is writing to a doctor because her husband, who is in the army, or at least was in the army, was sent to Shanghai. When he returns, he has to go to the doctor to get treated for syphilis. She doesn't know what it is, what syphilis is, but she is worried for herself and her daughter, who was born while the man was away. Her father told her, "You were as good as gone if you got syphilis." So she's worried enough to find a doctor to write to and write the letter. She wants to know what the doctor thinks she should do. She doesn't know how her husband got sick, and she says she doesn't care. She just wishes he hadn't gotten sick. I don't care how he got sick. I just wish it hadn't happened. I don't care how he got sick, she says. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. She keeps saying it, and that is the first note that I have here for this. The last little bit of the story. It does seem like he didn't have to have got it. I don't know what to do. I wish to Christ he hadn't got any kind of malady. I don't know why he had to get a malady. And before that, she goes on talking about how I don't care how he got it. I just wish he hadn't got it. So here's the thing. Where is it here? Oh, I wish to Christ he wouldn't have got it. I don't care what he did to get it, but I wish to Christ he hadn't got it. The literary heft of this short story, in my opinion, is this. You have to ask yourself whether or not that young woman actually does care how he got it. We know, you and I, how someone gets syphilis. Eating tomatoes with your legs in the air. If, in my experience in life, if you have to say something over and over again, you're trying to convince someone. Now, when she is saying these things, it is after she has composed her letter. Meaning the only person there, well, it's her. So she is trying to convince herself that she doesn't care how he got it. Probably she does know a little bit about how one might get syphilis, probably. This is why she has kept her children away from tomatoes all their livelong lives. But if she's talking to herself and she is repeating something over and over again, who is it that she's trying to convince? So I think that is the real point of the short story. Now, another talking point to the short story. What a world to live in. We live in an amazing world, in an amazing time. In her father's day, her father tells her, look, if you get syphilis, you're pretty much donezo. You are through. And probably he was right. This short story, published, I don't know the exact year, 20s or 30s, I think. So if she is 20 and her father had her at 20. We're just throwing numbers out there. 40 years before 1920 was 1880. If you got syphilis in 1880, probably you were donezo. So the incredible thing about just medical advancement and how fast things in the medical world, especially, were changing in the early 1900s, the first half of the 1900s, how fast everything changed there. And it reminds me of Eric Weinstein and Peter Thiel, who say that we are currently in a stationary world, how everything has stopped advancing. If you take someone from a classroom in today's world and you walk them back 50 years, to the 70s, their educational experience is basically the same. You're just changing the number of screens in the room. And it's an interesting observation, but I do think that it is slightly short selling the things that are still happening in the world. But I don't know that, and I'm no expert in this, obviously, but I don't know that we have had the extreme advancements in medical technology that were witnessed between, say, the 1880s and the 1930s, the 1880s and the 1950s. Just as a rule of thumb. And the last thing worth talking about here, that is maybe not important to the story on a massive scale, but it's one of those strange things that Hemingway is able to let you in on very early in a short story. These folks, they're poor. She can't afford to see a doctor in order to ask her doctor, hey, what do you think about old Charles having the syphilis? She doesn't have anyone in her sphere that would have been to a doctor, perhaps, to know what to do because of this. So who is this doctor that she's writing to? Well, she mentions his looks. She mentions what he looks like. He looks like XYZ. That suggests that this is a doctor in an advertisement. A doctor in an advertisement unlikely to return your letter. Why? Well, because he's not a doctor there to be seeing patients. He's a doctor there selling his image and likeness in order to endorse Tylenol so that Tylenol can make more sales and he can keep getting paid to shill Tylenol. So her letter, doomed. Absolutely doomed. Because she's not writing to someone who's ever really going to get back to her. Just a very, very interesting quirk of the short story that I think probably doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Though, honestly, I don't know how much attention this short story gets. I have never seen anyone else or read anyone else covering this short story. So, now, the writer's corner note, I have flash fiction written down there. Why? So what is flash fiction? Flash fiction is a short story that is 1,000 words or less. Certainly, this is 1,000 words or less. Oftentimes, in order to get across the maximum point possible, flash fiction employs alternative storytelling methods and modes. Writing to a doctor is certainly not the most common short story practice, right? Writing a letter to a doctor and thinking to yourself a little bit afterwards. Not too many short stories written like that, but Hemingway had limited time. By writing to a doctor, he was able to make several statements. They are poor. She doesn't know the doctor, so her letter is doomed. This is a real event to the woman involved here. She gets to feign a little bit of ignorance, though we have reason to believe that she has an idea of the seriousness of syphilis. So all of these things are going on in a very short story, partly because of the way the short story itself is told, through a doctor to a letter, to a doctor through a letter that to a doctor a woman has never met, through a letter. There we go. That is the way to say that. I think that is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I do on this channel, so consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.